Today's guest is Tahlia Thomas, Practitioner Team Lead at Happy Healthy You, one of Australia's leading women's health platforms founded by Olympian Lisa Curry and naturopath Jeff Butterworth. Tahlia holds a Bachelor of Health Science in Nutritional and Dietetic Medicine and is passionate about helping women better understand their hormones, energy, mood, and overall well-being through both scientific and holistic approaches. In this episode, we unpack the hormone shifts so many women experience silently, from postpartum depletion and burnout to perimenopause, brain fog, and menopause. We talk about what our hormones are really trying to tell us, the hidden ways stress and undernourishment can impact women's health, and why so many women have normalised feeling exhausted, depleted, or disconnected from their bodies. Tahlia also shares practical nutrition and lifestyle strategies women can use to better support themselves through every phase of life, while helping us understand that true nourishment goes far beyond just food. This conversation is empowering, educational, and full of insights I think so many women need to hear. Thank you for being here again for the Can I Get a Refill podcast. If you're new, I'm Steph. I'm your host, and I help women stop pouring from an empty cup and start building a life that actually supports them. If that's something you're interested in, you should hit subscribe and stick around. I also recommend jumping on the website www.canigetarefillpodcast.com.au, linked below, to download your free ebook on 7 steps to protect your energy and fill up your cup. Every area of your life comes back to the relationship you have with yourself, so make sure it's a really strong one. Download it today and make yourself your number one priority. Okay, now let's jump in. Hello, my cup fillers, and welcome back to the Can I Get a Refill podcast. As just promised, we're joined by a very special guest today, Tahlia Thomas. Tahlia, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Steph. Thanks so much for having me.
I'm very grateful to have you, and what a beautiful backdrop I was just saying to you in your lovely clinic there. You look so nice.
Thank you. All the natural light. I'm very blessed.
Yeah, it very much suits your aesthetic. Before we jump into all the juicy questions, did you want to just tell everybody a little bit about the work you do? Because you do work for yourself and for the Happy Healthy You as well, don't you?
Yeah, so I'm in clinical practice myself, but then I lead the Happy Healthy You practitioner team. So I've been with the company for 11 years now. So it's been lots of evolution. A lot of female customers come through our doors, and it's something that I'm really passionate about. And the team that I manage are based all around the world. So we have an incredible group of women, ranging from naturopaths to nutritionists, who support all of our customers, support me in product and program development. And we're really blessed, and I love the work that I do, hence why I've been around for so long now.
Yeah, for those not watching on YouTube, I have to say you don't look old enough for someone who's done that for 11 years, and to have that's your responsibility. That's a lot of work you're doing.
Yeah, I feel really blessed. The company has really allowed me to grow and develop as a practitioner. I started when I was studying, and then that's really evolved, and it's been a massive learning curve for me, and lots of great experience in the space over those years.
How did you get into that in the first place? Because I feel like when I talk to a lot of nutritionists, naturopath, a lot of the time it's, I was struggling with, my skin or my gut, and then it was just something that was of interest to them. What got you into that field in the first place?
Yeah, I think, I studied 11 years ago now, so it's a long time, and nutrition has become really sexy. But back when I started studying, my passion was really around food. I loved making good quality food. I appreciated, the connection that food brought, and that was, really core values established by my family. But then I also had really deep passion around health, and I'm really blessed that it wasn't anything significant health-wise for me. It was more just the merging of those two passions and loves of mine that led me to nutrition, and I've always loved studying, loved research, loved getting my hands into the science of it. And so that just really lent itself to me kind of exploring that avenue. And I've never looked back since.
Oh, I love that so much. And I have a passion for food too, but I definitely love making my own good food. Like, my favorite pastime is finding dessert recipes and then making them my version of healthy and making substitutes. Like, I just love it. At the moment, I'm stuck on my son loves jelly, so I make with grass-fed gelatin and apple juice, or apple and blackcurrant juice, and make our own jellies, and we both love that, like in the afternoon. And woke up so early this morning, was meant to do some podcast prep, but I was making little homemade cookies for him with mashed banana and oats and applesauce to take to daycare. So I love to know what's going in my body. So I definitely get how you were drawn to that. That's something of interest to me as well. I love that you work with a lot of women, and a lot of my podcast episodes is so much, about women's health and exhaustion and burnout. There's so much on our plates all the time, and hormones especially. So I like that that's your focus. So a lot of women are told their exhaustion, irritability or brain fog is just stress, but how do we know when hormones might actually be playing a role?
Yeah, I guess a really big thing that I've found and learnt from we have an online hormonal assessment at Happy Healthy You, and we've had 1.5 million women do that assessment. And so that allowed us to establish some really solid data around what women are going through and what other body systems are impacted by their hormones. And one of the biggest things that I explain to my patients, and a lot of the time to our customers, is around the cyclic nature of your symptoms. So, it's all well and good to be burnt out and fatigued, but are you cyclically feeling that more significantly? So are there particular times in your cycle, particularly in the later stages of your cycle, that your energy feels more depleted, that your brain fog is worse, that your mood is impacted? That really gives us...
Okay, so that would be more a hormone issue rather than an iron deficiency or your schedule. Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, so looking at this, as women, we're cyclic beings, and I think society has programmed that out of us. And so it's something that I work with my patients a lot on, really tapping back into our innate wisdom as women. And naturally that is cyclic. And so understanding the intricacies that are normal, and then those things that potentially aren't normal and need to be investigated or treated more deeply.
Yeah. One of the very first episodes I recorded was with a naturopath talking about cyclical living, and it's so much interest to me. And I know that in society, yes, that's sort of been not talked about, but definitely in these circles with women and podcasters, it's really gaining so much momentum, which I love, because the world and the systems are all designed around the 24-hour cycle that suit men. But even like medical research and all that, up until like 1 to 5 years ago, was all done on the male body. Like, we are so different. And I like to remind my husband of how lucky he is. So this morning I was telling him how I'm pretty sure I'm 43 tomorrow, and I'm pretty sure I'm in perimenopause, and I'm also I've been trying for 8 months to fall pregnant with my second, and it just hasn't happened. But I am now waking up between 3:18 and 3:22 every morning. And I'm like, oh, this is so perimenopause, isn't it? That's the thing, right?
It's really interesting. I think as a nutritionist, people look and think, oh, you just deal with food and what people are eating. And for me, nutrition is so much more than that. And I like to pull on the different philosophies of health around the world. And Chinese medicine is something that I love so very much. And when we think about Chinese medicine and we look at the Chinese body clock, between 2 and 3 a.m. is that liver time. So when your liver's working hard, and we know the massive relationship between your sex hormones and your liver function, and particularly as you tap into that perimenopausal stage, I like to explain it to patients like it's very similar to what you go through when you first get your period and you're getting this massive surge in hormones. But when you're young and you're in your teenage years, your liver is very happy, healthy, and able to clear that. When you're in your later adult years, your liver isn't the same clean little organ that it once was. So it finds it more difficult to excrete and metabolize those hormones, hence why you get things like nighttime waking, particularly around those 2 and 3 a.m. times.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying to my husband. You just don't know how easy you've got it. Like, we go through like the lifetime of, having your cycle and having your period, and I've got PMDD and all that. I said, then you got to go through perimenopause. I said, it's all the same for you. Like, you just keep going with the same clock. It's so, please let me be a man in my next life.
There are pros and cons, I feel.
Yeah, for sure.
My partner and I often have that conversation, and, it is just very black and white for men, and their hormones.
It is, isn't it?
Very straightforward, but they don't have the same wisdom. I often explain this to my postmenopausal ladies. It's that we can step into that next chapter of our hormonal journey with empowerment and with a weight of wisdom that men don't get to experience. And I think there is so much doom and gloom around those transitions through menopause, but it is a really incredible stage of your life where you have built up all of this incredible knowledge. You've got this into your body that maybe has been through a bit of a roller coaster in that journey, but has enabled you to come out the other side in this incredible, wise woman that you weren't ever before.
But that's why I think women are more drawn to your sorts of fields and things as well. I think that, I picture like in the villages, like medicine women who live off the land and understand how things impact the body. But I love being a woman. Like, it's hard, but I just think there's such beauty and compassion and so much emotion, and we know how to talk about our feelings, and we understand. I always say I'm like an elephant is my spirit animal, because they're really that matriarchal society. Like, I really feel like an elephant in my soul, because it's a real, sisterhood, and especially since you've had children. But I love what you shed light on there with menopause and perimenopause. It used to be seen as, she's over the hill, and you got to get on HRT, and hot flashes, and it was all negative, negative, negative. And now there's such a beauty of almost like a new beginning, of, settling into who you really are. And a lot of, a lot of women have older children in this stage of life. It's a bit tricky for me because I'm trying to navigate the early motherhood in combination with perimenopause. So that's tough. But yeah, it's almost like a becoming. And this is going a little bit off topic, but I just feel like we were so much conditioned as women to be a particular vision of what the patriarchal society had of us. And I watched so many, this is so off topic, but I was watching America's Sweethearts, the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, and I'm like, these women are so being silenced, and I'm like, and then they're crying because it's clear they want to get their voice across but can't. And I'm like, that was me in my 20s, but I felt like jumping in the TV and saying, girls, don't worry, in your 40s, you're not going to give a shit about what anyone thinks about you. You're really going to find your voice, and it's a really beautiful stage of life, and you do feel like you're tapping in to a wisdom that was always there but silenced.
Totally. And I think, there has been so many evolutions, particularly over the last 10 years. As you mentioned earlier, we have seen a change in the way that science is conducted.
Yes.
Previously, women weren't included in a lot of the studies that were done on female conditions, they were performed on men, and this is something that isn't spoken about enough. And as a woman, it's something that I'm so passionate about. We see 83% of women report that their hormonal symptoms have impacted on their ability to perform in the workplace and the way their career progresses. And I think that is just so key when we look at what women can contribute to society and the impact that we have. I think that the more we're talking about this, we've seen the menopausal initiative with the current government. It's great that there's conversations starting about menopause. Let's talk about that more. Let's get comfortable with it, and let's have these conversations with the men in our life.
Yes.
I think it's been something that it has been taboo for such a long time.
Yes.
We've now got this really beautiful opportunity in our partners to have these conversations, be really open about it, and then raise our boys to have a really good awareness.
Yes.
I have a beautiful stepson, and we talk openly about all of the things that are important, because I want him to grow up and feel comfortable talking to his partner about this. And I think it's such an important topic.
I think everything was very hush-hush and, that's rude and you don't talk about this in public. And I remember when I was growing up, it was men didn't discuss periods at all. And my dad used to grab the remote and change the channel if a tampon ad came on. Like, he was uncomfortable. And he said to me, and he was born in Sicily in the 50s, so just a very different upbringing. And he even said to me recently, I talked about this with my sisters, and I really loved it. It was such a nice exchange. He never really is reflective like that, and I really liked it. And now we're seeing ads where you're seeing bloodstains on undies, and I'm like, it was just always treated like, ew, like it's dirty, you're shunned. And I know there were those African tribes where they would bury the women up to their neck in dirt. I've referenced this book, Warris Diary. She was a model, and she talked about that happened to her in Africa. But, like ostracized in a way, really. And it's like, it's just, people can talk about going to the toilet as a bodily function. It's the same thing, like it's not something for us to feel ashamed about. And in a way, See, I was a funny kind of girl. I got my period at 14 and I always wanted it. I think I even pretended I had it in primary school, and I used to go to public bathrooms and get the little tampons out of the dispensers and carry them around in my little purse. And I just was so dying to get my period. And when I was pregnant, I missed it. And I know that sounds odd and people are like, I'm happy not to have it. I disagree. I like my cycle. I actually tap into something, and I feel like what I was lacking was the shedding. It was like, the shedding to me feels like a release of something, like physically and emotionally, and I missed it. And I think maybe that's probably also part of the transition with menopause, is that it's been a part of you for so long. It's almost like a letting go of a part of you.
Absolutely. I really adore looking at the cyclic nature of that as well, and particularly relating different parts of your cycle with the seasons of the year. I know when I lived up north, I actually miss the colder weather and rugging up, and it's the same as your cycle. You want times in month to snuggle up and be really warm and cozy, and then when you're ovulating, you know, you want to be out socializing, and I actually structure my calendar that way as best I can. I try and have that's like, I'm on here, my brain is firing, I've got energy, I want to be doing all of the things. And then I have times where I'm like, that's the time in the month where I want to be at home. I don't want to be socializing. I want to be eating the warming foods. And I think living in that way is so conducive to you being super productive and being able to show up as your best self. And on that, one thing that I find is as women move through menopause and they potentially aren't menstruating anymore, they find it difficult to tap into that cyclic nature. And one thing we often discuss with our ladies, particularly in our private Facebook group, is that you can use the moon as your cycle. So, you know, align your own rhythm with the full moon, the new moon, and really utilize that kind of cycle as opposed to needing your regular menstrual cycle to feel like you're still tapping into something. It's really nice to have that as an anchor.
I love that you mentioned the moon. I'm a Cancerian. It's my birthday tomorrow, as I was saying, in June. But our ruling planet is the moon, so I feel so aligned. And very often my luteal will light up with the full moon, and I'm like, "Good luck, husband." But I very much, I'm the kind of person that I take my son down since he was born to right over the water, because I'm in Cronulla, so it's the east, and you can watch the full moon like rise over the water. I play Stevie Nicks. We watch the moon. It's like a real ritual. And then in the new moon, I put my crystals out. Oh no, they charge in the full moon. But in the new moon, I write all my manifestations and my goals and all that. So I very much live by the moon. So that's really great advice. I'm going to continue doing that once my cycle's gone, so you can feel that.
Beautiful.
I like ritual. Like ritual's like a nice thing to do. And I like what you said about the seasons too. It's like, if you had summer all the time, it's too much. You need to be able to retreat and I like autumn and I like spring. I like the new beginnings of spring, and I like the retreating of autumn where I bake and just stay in and get all cozy. Yeah. You often say the menstrual cycle is the fifth vital sign. I really like that. What can a woman's cycle actually reveal about her overall health?
I think when we look at the menstrual cycle, I always refer to it as the fifth vital sign, because it is one of the best barometers of a woman's health. You know, when we look at all of their cardiovascular function, their mental health and nervous system regulation, the metabolic health, our female sex hormones really impact so significantly on those that it is so remiss of us to not refer to it as a vital sign. And I think when I'm working with my patients, we're going into depth around the symptoms of their cycle, what's changing throughout the month, what is the time of ovulation looking like. And I think so often we focus particularly on the time of menstruation in isolation, and we don't think about the other elements, particularly when we're looking at hormones like progesterone. Progesterone's like that hormone that gives you a hug and that feels really good. And we get so much intel from that when we look at other stages in the cycle outside of menstruation. So I really think that the menstrual cycle should be referred to as the fifth vital sign, because it is, as women, one of the best barometers of how well our health is overall. And we see that move through in the later transitions for women, you know, in that perimenopausal window. It gives us really good indication into clinically how we can prioritize things for women. So something that I'm really passionate about is bone mineral density as you're moving through those menopausal transitions. And we know for those women who are getting longer cycles, their estrogen levels are changing. So therefore the protection of their bones is also changing. So there are lots of different aspects of the menstrual cycle that enable it to indicate different parts of the body and their importance.
Yes. Oh, I love that. It's almost like you do this for a living. You really know your stuff so well. We're talking about the next stage then. And so perimenopause can begin years earlier than many women realise. You know what? I didn't know, and I don't think I'm alone. I didn't even know what perimenopause was until I interviewed someone a few months ago. I just thought it was, oh, you're going through menopause. But menopause is just that one day where you haven't had your period for that 12 months. And so perimenopause, but all of a sudden now it's coming up in books and podcasts, which is great. So it's something as simple as that. There just wasn't the language around it for decades and decades. Yeah. So what are some of the subtle signs women in their late 30s and 40s might be overlooking?
One thing I want to really point out here is that at Happy Healthy You, we've been dealing in this space for, 15 years. So we've been able to see the trends in women. And one thing that we've really noticed is categorically, women's hormones are under more pressure now than they ever have been before. So when we talk about perimenopause, we need to think about why are women moving through these transitions earlier? And there are lots of other factors that can get confused with perimenopausal symptoms, particularly around your thyroid. So the thyroid gland is something that I often see come up in clinic. Women are getting changes to their mood, their temperature regulation, their weight, and quite often it can be thyroid related as opposed to being menopausally related. But typically, if you're in that 35 plus category and you're noticing changes to your menstrual cycle alongside changes to your metabolism, changes to your mood, changes to your temperature, they're all really good indications that you're moving through those transitions. Now, the other really important thing to understand here is that everyone's journey looks different. And that's why at Happy Healthy You, it's not a one size fits all approach. We have a practitioner team there that are able to really train and coach our customers through these transitions and enable them to understand what actually is the problem here. Is it that your liver needs more support, or are we transitioning through this hormonal period and we need to use herbs to support you through that? So I think there is a lot of confusion, but typically you want to look if you're at that 35 plus and you're getting cycle changes alongside some of those other common symptoms. It's a really good kind of indicator that you need to look a little bit further into your hormones. And we've developed a really comprehensive hormonal assessment. So you can actually go onto our website and do a free 15-minute assessment that goes through all of your body systems. So it's not just looking at your hormones, and the report will actually generate what is most important for you to work on first and foremost. So it's an incredible free resource for women. And as I mentioned, we have obtained the data of 1.5 million women, which enables us to really target and tailor the kind of resources, empowerment and education that women need moving through that journey.
Oh, I love the support that you offer. That is so wonderful. But it's so true, isn't it? That especially with women and especially with the hormones, everybody's journey is so, so different. You look at periods for people are so different. I know someone who would bleed for a week and a half and like heavy, and then pregnancies, like all my friends, we all had completely different experiences with pregnancy and birth. Like it's all so different, isn't it? So the same with peri. But it's true, isn't it, that some women don't even get hot flashes?
Absolutely. There are a lot of, it's also true that there are women that transition through menopause and don't get a symptom at all. Their period stops and happy days, I think everyone's situation and the way they move through this phase is very unique. And we do know that there are massive maternal links there genetically. So if your mum moved through menopause really easily, it's likely that you will do the same. And the same goes for if menopause was challenging for your mum, it really kind of shines a light on the importance for you to prioritize your health in that phase. And one thing that I don't think is spoken enough about is that it doesn't need to be a tumultuous time. There is support out there for you, and there is incredible herbal medicine and nutritional adaptations that you can make to really support your body through perimenopause. And it's something that I work through with a lot of my patients in terms of priming their body for menopause. So if I have a 30-year-old woman, it's like, how can we get your hormones really balanced? How can we support your liver detoxification pathway so that when you do transition through that stage of your life, it isn't crazy and unbearable for you? We have normalized a lot of these symptoms, but with the right support, it can be a real transition of balance and empowerment.
If the journey looks different for everybody, does what you prescribe look different for everybody? So with herbs, like I know there's a lot of brands on the market that have been there for a while. I won't mention them by name, but is it not a one size fits all? Yeah, okay.
It's absolutely not a one size fits all. And that goes with everything, whether it's supplementation, whether it's diet, whether it's environmental changes or exercise. I think as a holistic practitioner, it's really important to take into account all of those different elements. And it's why at Happy Healthy You, we've never wanted to sell retail products, because we've always wanted to have that one-on-one connection with our customers. And we want them to be able to come chat to a naturopath through the website, talk and provide a bit more context on what they're experiencing so that we can tailor their recommendation. So a lot of the time, I will say to a customer, look, supplementation isn't right for you right now. I want you to go out, get 10,000 steps a day and do some daily mindfulness. This is where your priority needs to be. And I think this lends itself to talking about how sexy it is to talk about menopause at the moment. Everyone is talking about menopause, and what that does is then lend itself to people looking at the financial gain of about menopause.
Dang. Yes.
And
how can we capitalize on this? 110%. And I do like things that are tailored to me as an individual. I just find that my body is never like everybody else. Like I can't have creatine, even though I know I should, but it makes me so swollen and fluid retention. So I'm so different. But, I just want to backtrack. You talked about the hormones being different from years ago. Is that due to things like there's so many products with like endocrine disruptors and
absolutely
compared to like our parents and grandparents' generation?
Absolutely. So when we look back at our grandparents, they weren't exposed to all of the environmental toxins that we are, whether that be through our cleaning products, our beauty products, all of the things when we're looking at the home. Then we go deeper and look at the way that they lived their life. They were in nature a lot more. They weren't on their phone. Their days typically weren't 9 to 5. It was very different back then. So the pressure on the body is exponential when we compare that of our grandparents. And I think we're expected to live in this world in a body that doesn't want to live in this world. And it's a conversation I have with so many of our ladies, is that it's really hard to be a woman and do the 10,000 steps, balance your hormones, take all of the supplements, eat the 40 grams of protein every 2 hours. It is really difficult. And I often say, and I have made a conscious decision, I've got an Instagram page called Tahlia Thomas Nutrition. I don't really share nutrition advice on there anymore because women are so overwhelmed. And I've made the decision that I actually don't want to add to that. People can come and book a consult if they want to see me, but I'm sharing pictures of my garden. I love spending time.
I noticed that. I went onto your Instagram at 5 o'clock this morning when I woke up. I'm trying to wake myself up, so I'm scrolling through and I'm like, there's not a lot of work stuff on there, but I really like that. It's very rebel. It's very hippie of you. It's like, I always get told you got to do those controversial reels, to get more followers. And I'm like, I don't want to do that because that brings ill ease to my life. I don't want fights with strangers, and they're not people listening to my podcast anyway. They're just strangers arguing with me. So I just want to talk about what I enjoy, and I like that your page, you're leading by example. Your page reflects the joy and the simplicity of your life. So I actually really like that. And
people have lost that. I find a lot of women come to me and they just feel like they've lost their spark. And I ask the question, what things are you doing that bring you joy? What fills your cup? How many ladies are doing things that genuinely fill their cup? And I think the conversation around, is going to the gym every morning and strength training feeling really good for you? I absolutely love strength training, and it does feel good for me, and my friends are there and it's fun. But I also really love gardening, and I am so nourished and recharged when I spend time outside in my garden, and that's like a workout for me. So not feeling the pressure of needing to do all of the things that potentially don't bring you joy and take from your love cup.
But I think we're overwhelmed, like you said, with all that advice online. I just always feel like, oh God, what am I doing wrong now? What new evidence has come out now? So I just try and strip it back and live as simplistically as I can. So I stopped using perfume years ago. I use like essential oils. I think I put ylang ylang on today. And the cleaning products I do all organic, but I can't get everything. I buy my son wooden toys instead of plastic. I'm trying so hard, but it stresses me out. So I pressed play on that Netflix thing about plastic, and I went, no, I have to stop it because it's stressing me. I know things are bad, but I can only do what's in my control.
Yeah.
So it's so hard to do everything right.
Everything in moderation, including moderation. I have a lot of interesting conversations with people when I say I'm a nutritionist, but I'm eating a donut, or that I love chocolate. It's like we're all human. There needs to be a fine balance in this life of the things that we enjoy, and not really looking at things as good and bad. Really.
No, I completely agree.
That balance and the guilt and the pressure that we put. We've already got, as women, we've got this pressure on ourselves that is more than enough. We don't need to add that.
I know.
Ourselves.
Yeah, that guilt is a very Western thing. I always reference how in Italy there's no such thing as like guilt. And, it's funny, I used to be like the gym gal and really fit and really watch what I was eating. But then I'd have a binge day once a month where I would go nuts and I might eat like 6 donuts. I can't remember the last time I've had a donut. I reckon 3 or 4 years. I don't do that anymore because I don't deprive myself. If I want something, I'll have it. So now I'm like a gluten-free brownie from the organic health food store, that satisfies me. I don't feel but
and you love that.
I love it, but I go by what feels good. Whereas before, I think I was, depriving and punishing and then rewarding, but then I would feel sick. So I'm like, I haven't done that in so long. If my body wants something, great, do it. I just said to my husband, I was so low carb for so many years. I would only have it like during the day, never at night. And, very often it was only a bit of sweet potato. Every day now I've been having gluten-free pasta or soba noodles. And do you know how much I look forward to, with lots of olive oil and a bit of basil? I look forward to my lunch so much every day. And I take my son for like 2-hour walks sometimes when he's napping. So I do so much cardio. My body, and plus in perimenopause, you need that extra carb anyway. I really look forward to it. So I have no binging burger or pizza nights because I'm not depriving myself. So it all comes back to tapping in and listening to the body, doesn't it? And what do I need today? Do I need a heavy gym workout or do I want gardening? And every day is different. So I don't have that, it's Thursday, it must be leg day. What do I need today?
Totally.
And it can change all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it is so easy to be caught up in all of the things that you see on Instagram, and then that lends to you tapping out of what your intuition is telling you.
You're outsourcing something instead of going in. So true. But I think you hit the nail on the head too with there are people actually capitalizing on it, and you're a consumer and they're trying to make money off you by making you feel like you're not doing something right when you can. It's the same with biohacking. I biohack, but I don't do the expensive things. I get my sunlight in the morning to kick in the circadian rhythms. I do my grounding and walk barefoot on the grass. These are all free things, and I feel well. So I can only, I don't need to do everything all at once. It's insane. But you know how you were talking about the previous generations? I read the other day that the average step count was 22,000 steps and now it's 7,000 steps. So this is where we're talking about, those places like those blue zones. Yeah. They're walking for transportation. And that's what I do all the time. I have a car here, but I throw my son in the pram and we walk everywhere. And I'll even walk to the train station, then catch the train to the shops. And my step count's high every day, but on the days I don't walk, I'm anxious, and it's because I haven't got that out. But also just being in nature, like it's so grounding, isn't it?
And it doesn't cost you a thing.
Nothing.
You don't need, and you're not in a gym with loud music. You're getting all these benefits. It's the same with gardening. I think when I'm outside, I'm breathing fresh air, I'm touching the dirt, I'm expanding the microbiome, all of the things. I think we, again, put that pressure on ourselves to need to do things a certain way because that person we follow on Instagram is doing it. But there are so many benefits to just doing the plain old boring things. And from a nutrition perspective, I often bang on about the boring things that aren't really sexy, but they're foundational. And they're really, really basic. And they're what most of us know, but a lot of the time we just need to be told this is what you need to prioritize. And that's what I do with my patients. It's like, okay, next 3 weeks, these are the 3 foundations that I want you to prioritize. Come back to me and tell me how you feel. And 9 out of 10, they're like, I did those 3 things. They were so basic. And my top 3 symptoms that I want to address are already reduced by half.
Oh, I love it. Do you know what? I think it comes down to that people want a quick fix that they can throw money at the solution and not do the work. And I always used to get constipated. And to me, it was never what I was eating. It was tension in my body. It was a rigidity that, would make the muscles not relax. I was throwing money at solutions left, right, and center. Now I'm like, right, I'm going to eat whole foods, healthy. I'm going to sit and chew slowly. I'm going to massage my tummy before bed each night in that sort of circular motion. But speaking of traditional Chinese medicine, I always see these things come up on my algorithm because I've obviously liked things about the self-massage in certain places. And there's this thing you can do where you can massage under the knee bone. There's this spot where you push in near the shin. And this woman's like, I tell you, be near the toilet when you do it. I did it. Man, the next day, emptied, flat stomach. It works so good. So every night I'm hard massaging that.
All meridians are amazing. There's so many beautiful points that you can work on yourself. Again, they don't cost you a thing. You can do them at home while you're sitting out on the TV watching on the couch watching the TV. It's really incredible. All of those points.
See, but no one's benefiting from that financially. But there's so much in you and nature where solutions are. We just need to know the right place to look, right?
Totally.
Yeah. What are your top nutrition tips for supporting women's overall health and well-being? I know it's not a one-size-fits-all, but just, for everyone listening. And do you think undereating is a bigger issue among women than we realise?
Absolutely. I think there has been a lot of movement. 5 years ago, undereating was a massive thing, and it was something that I was seeing day in, day out with patients in clinic. There has been a little bit of movement in that space. I think there's more awareness around the importance of protein, but there are still some misconceptions in that space. So from a nutrition perspective, I say eat consistently, eat regularly, and eat real food. Outside of that, when it comes to your diet, if you can do those things, that's going to ensure that you're doing a good job a majority of the time. So eating regularly is really incredible for your energy levels, for maintaining your blood glucose levels, and for leading to you being less likely to binge. So, my patients, I always explain that their morning choices when it comes to their food intake really dictate how they feel in the afternoon. So I know that a lot of the time you're in a rush in the morning and it's difficult, but prioritizing breakfast will lead to you not feeling like you need a donut in the afternoon, and your blood levels will thank you for it. The other thing that I think is really important is just focusing on the foundational food group. So I don't like to pinpoint any in particular, but balancing your protein, balancing your fats, and balancing your carbohydrates is really important. And I think we went through a phase there of the low carb diet being really sexy, and what I saw was incredible detriment to the gut microbiome because so many sources of fiber missed out. And ladies were coming to me, we were doing a comprehensive digestive stool analysis, and all of their beneficial bacteria was diminished because those bugs didn't have the fiber to fuel on. So fiber, particularly in my female patients, is something that I work on a lot nutritionally because it helps with the excretion of excess estrogen, which is absolutely pivotal, particularly when you're moving through those perimenopausal transitions as well. Hydration is another foundational thing that I think so many of us forget about. It's one that is really simple. It's not complicated. It doesn't cost you a thing. We are really lucky here in Australia. I often say to my patients, start your day with 500 mils of water before you do anything else. It's going to give you more energy. You're going to be less likely to snack. It's going to have a positive, profound impact on so many different things that you won't even realize. And we're really complicating water at the moment, doing all of the electrolytes and all of the things, but it's like, just drink the water and you'll be fine. You don't need to make it sexy. If you have a sauna, maybe add some electrolytes, but yeah, keep it simple. And the last point from a nutritional point of view is that nutrition is so much more than just what you eat. It is the people you surround yourselves, the environments you put yourself in. So being really aware of that, think about energy in, energy out when it comes to food, but also when it comes to the energy that you surround yourself with. So spend time with people you love, put yourself in environments that give you joy. For me, it's my garden. And I think when it comes to nutrition, that's an element that so many people forget about, but it's one that I always bring up because I think it's so important.
I think living in joy and doing what lights you up is so overlooked. And my son is watching Peppa Pig at the moment, and there's this episode that I just stop and love so much. They got really good life messages, and that some of the parents come in to do like a meditation class because they're very stressed. But then it turns into like a basketball court where all these kids are coming in and it's noise, and they're like, how do you feel now? They're like, still stressed, more stressed. So then instead of meditating, the adults join the kids and end up playing sports. And at the end of it, they go, how do you feel now? They go, not stressed at all, so much better. And there was something about that really clicked in with me where, I'll have such a rigid schedule, meditate, yoga, work out, do this, do it. And sometimes you just need to say, fuck it, I'm just going to have fun.
Totally.
And I think people, and I know I do, like I'll overschedule things and do editing all weekend. I'll be like, oh, hang on, I didn't hang out with friends this weekend. So now that I work for myself, I'm really, really filling up those weekends. I like solitude time to recharge my energy, but to make sure to have play and fun. And I think a lot of your problems would be solved if you're doing that, right?
Totally. And most of those opportunities are connecting with people that you love, which is going to nourish you on so many levels and reduce your cortisol. There is research around it. A lot of those times, I know for myself with my family, we love spending time outside in nature, and whether it's going skiing at the snow or being out in the forest, there are so many things that are free and bring us so much joy, and the benefits to our health and well-being are absolutely profound, but you're not going to read about them on Instagram.
Yes. You look like you come from a family who's good at skiing. Are you guys good?
I'm glad I give those vibes because I am actually a new skier, and you saying fun has reminded me of that, is that for so long I was like that. I was like study, work, and I didn't really tap into those areas that I felt uncomfortable. So in the last 4 years, I've learned how to ski, I've learned how to wakeboard, doing fun things like really motivating. And I think it gives you a greater sense of self-respect when you know that, even though I'm a bit older and I don't have that young childlike spirit, I'm still capable of doing those things that the kids are really great at.
The kids. How old are you? You are you an old soul? Because you seem to have a lot of wisdom for someone. Like, I'm looking at someone who looks very young. Give me the bracket. What decade are we in?
We're stepping into the 30s.
That's what I think. You just said I'm getting older, girl. You're talking into someone who's talking 43 tomorrow. No, but you have a really nice, you are an old soul. You've got like a calmness to you that I did not have at 29. And then wisdom. In my life, I've always been surrounded. My mum is incredible, and my grandma, I'm incredibly close to her, and she has always held this deep sense of wisdom that I feel really blessed that she's shared with me. And I've always really prioritized spending time with people that align with my values, and I think that has given me a lot of wisdom throughout my life, which I feel for me it's been not the adding of things but the removing of things. And I think for so long I was in environments where I was made to feel like I just wasn't right. There's something wrong with you. You shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be saying that. Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? And as I've removed things from my life that don't bring me joy, This has been the most joyous and abundant year of my life, which is why I feel no qualms about going into different hormonal stages or different ages, because I'm like, I am so in charge of my life at the moment, and it is so abundant. But it's, yeah.
I love that. I think it's so important. I felt that at school as well a lot. It was strange that I ate certain things or that I had a tin of tuna at school. And I think as you get old, you do develop that wisdom on the things that you want to, and the people that you want to surround yourself, the environments that you want to be in. And it's really empowering when you're like, how good is it to live in alignment with all of the things that feel good for me?
Oh, yes.
It's such a gift.
Every episode I feel the word alignment. Every time I'm talking to people. The lady I spoke to just before you was about how you design your home to be like and everything comes back to alignment. Like, for you, is the nutrition aligning with you? Was the home aligning with you? Everything is alignment. And I feel like your body is so wise. There's such a natural wisdom to yourself. And when you tap in and listen to yourself, your body gives you signals when you're in the wrong place or doing the wrong thing. And I had a lady who did a yoga therapy episode a few weeks ago, and I said the day I grew up was when I stopped doing things that didn't agree with me. Like that food upset my stomach last time. Oh, maybe it'll be different this time. No. That alcohol upset me. Maybe it'll be different this time. No. And once I started saying, no, I know that won't suit me, I feel like that's when I grew up. When you're young, you just go along with things and other people. And now I'm like, no, not aligned. No, I can't eat dinner at 8 p.m. I'll be starved. I'm eating at 5. I'll see you there later.
The stronger you flex that intuitive muscle, the stronger it gets, and you feel really good at it, and you get really good at it. So I think if I'm like this in my 30s, by the time I'm 50, I'm going to be really good at it. And by the time
I'm going to be the wisest bitch. I picture like really long grey hair, and then tied up in a top knot bun, and birds will just fly to you and rest on your arms. No, I love it. It's there's so much beauty to being a woman, and I just think I love you sort of reiterated what I believe in this episode, in that you really need to just tap in to yourself, and like it's not that complicated. The society has overcomplicated things, and the more we simplify things and simplify our diet and our schedule, just the happier and healthier and more longevity we'll have, right?
Yeah, without the sexy terms of longevity and all of the things, it really is so simple, and it's something that is difficult to find. It's easy for us to say that it's simple. It's really not simple out in the world to be a woman today. And I am really cognizant in that with my patients, but also in the work that we do at Happy Healthy You. I'm really transparent. We sell products, and that's a core part of our business. But another core pillar is the support that we offer, and more often than not, that is what women need, to be held and seen for where they are with that personalized support.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's trust. You've created that element of trust within the community there. Let's talk HRT. There's a lot of conflicting information online, and as I said years ago, it was seen as something very bad. Well, what's your view on HRT, and how do you know if it's right for you?
Yeah, I think I'm really grateful for the research. I'm a research-based practitioner, so whatever clinical decision I make sure that it is backed up with the relevant research. And from a HRT perspective, we have seen a lot of development in this space, particularly over the last 5 years. So one of the biggest things that's happened in the last 12 months is that the FDA in America have dropped their black box warnings around HRT. So historically, we've seen a lot of fear-mongering and, scarcity around HRT because of risks with breast cancer. Now, we know the research shows us that those risks are very minute now. The main issues are around HRT and estrogen-related breast cancers, and a lot of the research is continuing to be evolved. So there is a few developing papers that I'm keeping my eye on, and they will be released at the end of the year that give some incredibly profound data around HRT and breast cancer. But I think for me, we live in a world now where science has evolved so much, and I think it is around that full picture. So HRT is absolutely necessary for some women. I like to encourage HRT alongside all of the other support at the same time. So it is really safe to take our happy hormones formulation alongside your HRT and support your body with both of those avenues. So looking at that real holistic approach, not just thinking I'm going to use HRT, that's going to fix all of my symptoms. HRT does support you with a lot of your symptoms, but it doesn't fix them all. So that's where herbal medicine can become really powerful. It's where focusing on your diet becomes really empowering. And I think the other thing that's really key for me, and that is a missing piece to the puzzle, is the bone density picture. And bone density is so overlooked, but the rates of osteoporosis, particularly in Australia, are incredibly significant, and particularly as you're moving through menopause. So I think this is an element that is missing in that HRT picture, and it's something that I encourage my patients to test and not guess on really early.
Can I ask why in Australia? What do you think the major factor is there?
It's really interesting. A lot of the research particularly is around what our soils are depleted in.
Oh.
And we know that things like iodine is really deplete. We also know that when you have a more sedentary lifestyle, the impacts on your bone density are more significant. So there are a lot of elements there that I think come into play. And again, bone density takes a holistic approach. We need to make sure that you're increasing your intake of calcium and vitamin D through the diet. You're potentially supplementing with vitamin D. You're getting your strength training in, or any kind of resistance training. It doesn't need to be in the gym. It could be at home with your body weight. And the other thing for me is that you're doing a DEXA scan. If you're in that perimenopausal to menopausal window, I encourage my patients to always do a yearly DEXA scan to look at and maintain their bone density. But I'm all for the greater conversation around HRT. I think we need to not look at things always as good and bad, and the research is evolving, so we will evolve. And I have absolutely evolved as a practitioner. I once had very firm philosophies around it, but as things have progressed, I really think there is space for everything. And there are certainly times in the hormonal journey where women need that extra support, and it's great that it's so readily available to them in Australia now.
Oh, I love that so much. I love the combination of, the Western and the Eastern, or the medicinal with the herbal. I've always said both. And, I'll say something that I was going to not share on the podcast at all, but not long ago, I went on to medication to treat anxiety, and I swore I never would. Decade after decade, I was like, no, I'm just going to do my meditation, with some therapy, my ashwagandha, ginseng and all that. But I have lots of trauma from many years ago stored in my body. And whilst my mind feels sound, my nervous system has not caught up. The trauma is stored, and I can do, throw all the money at my energy healings and all that. I needed to do something. It has changed my world. The two things that have up-leveled my life this year have been getting my son into daycare and me going on medication. And I wasn't going to share it on the podcast because it can be very taboo, My mate Tom Cruise and his Scientology things, I know they don't believe it, but it has up-leveled my life. I tried everything.
Yeah.
And it's not a weakness to say, you know what? I need some additional support. And I now do it in combination with my breath work, with my meditation, with my herbal supplements. And I feel like that hum of anxiety that I just thought was a part of life has just gone. And I have clarity to create and be present with the people I love. So I love that there's those conversations around HRT, and there's not that, fear around it that there was, because sometimes you do need that little extra support. And there's, medicine's phenomenal, the research they've put into things.
Absolutely. And I think that the beauty is in the synergy of both worlds and the respect of both worlds. We know the medical advancements are incredible, and if we can combine those two together, quite often what we see is it's a massive, conventional medicine is often a really big circuit breaker for patients, and particularly those with anxiety. I feel that there's still so much angst, and women still have so much shame about talking about being on medication, but there is absolutely no shame in that. And I think the more that we're having healthy conversation around it, and the more that we're having healthy conversation around it, not needing to be a forever thing, there's seasons of life that you need that greater support. And if you're able to do all of those external kind of holistic principles and nail those around your medication, I think you're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah. And I like that you used the word shame, because I'm an open book on this podcast. I talk about everything, but it was the one thing where I was like, no, I better not talk about that. More that, you're worried that people will come out with their judgments, but I have no shame in doing what I needed to do to up-level my life. It makes me better for myself, but it makes me a better mom. It makes me a better wife. So yeah, I love the reaching out when you need help. So, and I do like the blend of the both. Now, with the laws they dropped in the US to make HRT available, was that a proper medical professional or that weirdo RFK Jr. that did?
No, it was actually some really good research over there too.
I trust it then.
Yes. Yeah. But there is some crazy stuff going on in the world. So that's another thing that I say is question everything, whether it's a natural medicine or conventional medicine, question everything. Don't believe everything you read on Instagram. Do your own research. Anyone can go out and do a nutrition short course and call themselves a nutritionist.
Yes.
Really, really aware of that. And there are also companies out there, as we've discussed, making the most financially of these vulnerable opportunities around menopause. And so I think it's really key to do your research. If you're taking a product, look into it, send questions through the website. It's something we as a team of naturopaths and nutritionists feel so empowered when ladies ask, what's the research behind these herbs? I'm taking this product. Can I take this product alongside it?
Oh, yes.
As women, it is pivotal that we take responsibility for our own health. And I think those conversations are really key around understanding where your nutrition or your health information is coming from.
Yes. And I think reading labels is such a basic thing, isn't it? I used to work for a wellness company called the Beauty Chef. Have you heard of them? Really great products and really, really good formulas. But I'd see other brands and then have really great advertising, really great names for products. And then I'll read the ingredients list and I'm like, this is the most basic formula. It was good marketing. So you really do need to know
and costing,
what's in it, but also getting those tests for yourself to see what you need. You don't want to be just taking something because an influencer took it. And I know dig at influencers, I love them, but do something that's right for you. And it's empowering to do that research and know what your body needs.
Yeah, for sure. I couldn't agree more with that. And I think quality over quantity, not feeling like you need to do a little bit of everything. Find what works for you and do that really well, and not think that you need to be taking 20 different supplements and following a diet. Keep it simple.
Yes. And when you add up the cost, no one can afford to pay rent or mortgage and all those supplements. So keep it simple is wonderful advice. You've given such great insights today, really, truly valuable. And I interrupted you so much to ask questions because it's just so of interest to me in the stage of life that I'm in. And I would definitely link everything for you in the show notes for people to reach out and learn more. Yeah. But this show is all about filling up your cup, which we've also touched on. So I would just want to ask what's something you'll be doing in the next week to fill up your cup?
We have a beautiful kind of recovery centre here in Albury, and I'm going tomorrow night with some friends to just do a little soak session, hot and cold therapy. So I'm really looking forward to that. We get the hydrotherapy benefits, but then catching up with friends at the same time.
Oh, that's habit stacking. You've just ticked off 2 areas. I love that. That is so beautiful. Well, that will be my birthday. So think of me whilst you're pampering yourself. I'm going to pamper myself tomorrow too, and then do a little date day just with the husband and the son and get some grilled burgers, and Messina gelato is my favourite thing to do.
Love
with the 2 of those boys. Good balance. And maybe I'm thinking an infrared sauna during the day, and a deep tissue massage sounds very filling up my cup.
Good. Great birthday ideas, I say.
Yeah, it's been such a pleasure to meet you. Thank you again for your time today.
Thanks so much, Steph. I've loved chatting with you.
And everybody, please do something in the next week to fill up your cup.